We also see the argument made that this is solely a women's health issue and nobody but she should have a say over what happens to her body. But that is to ignore a very inconvenient truth that has always stalked the abortion debate. This is not about one body. There are two bodies involved. Like it or not, this House has a duty to consider the rights of a woman against the safety and morality of aborting the unborn viable child without consequence. It is not extreme or anti-women to say that a baby matters too. We are not here simply to express our opinions for an ideal world or even to focus only on highly distressing cases. We are legislators, and no greater legislative duty exists than to make sure that what we do in this House does not lead to unintended consequences in the real world for the most vulnerable. We are being asked to rewrite a profound boundary in British law that protects the unborn child with 2 hours of debate on a Tuesday afternoon. That is not responsible lawmaking, it is procedural ambush. It is telling that not even the promoters in this House of decriminalisation can agree on the form it should take. That ought to make each one of us pause, because it speaks to the challenge of moving beyond principle to real-world application. It is worth us recalling previous efforts to amend bills in this way and their consequences. The temporary pills by post scheme brought in during the crisis of the pandemic was made permanent by amendment hooked with little notice onto an unrelated bill. And what have we seen since? Women accessing pills under false names and gestational dates, taking them far beyond the recommended 10-week limit, viable babies lost in late-term abortions carried out. This is not women's health care, it is legal and medical failure. And that failure is now being used to justify the loosening of abortion laws still further due to a recent uptick in cases of women being investigated. And I've looked carefully at some of the arguments being pushed for decriminalisation, and I see under the Honourable Lady for Walthamstow that the bogeyman of the US right is back. Apparently, unless we agree to these amendments, evangelical religious groups paid for by US cash is going to start rolling back women's reproductive rights in this country. This is utter nonsense. We are in the UK. We have a very different and more balanced national conversation. This is not pro or anti-life. It is not extremist to want protections for viable babies. It is not anti-women to say that coercion or dangerous self-medication should not be outside the reach of the law.